Stardust, a science fiction sleep story, presented by Bedtime Stories. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath. And now, let the story begin. The soft, luminescent ceiling of Ilara's room pulsed with the gentle rhythm of a dream, casting a soothing lavender glow that chased away the deepest shadows. Outside her panoramic window, the vast, inky canvas of space glittered with a million distant suns, a diamond dust scattered across velvet. Luminaire, her home, a city carved into the heart of a colossal asteroid, floated in the silent ballet of the cosmos, a tiny, vibrant jewel tethered to the gas giant Cygnus Prime. A voice, warm as sun-drenched silk, whispered into the quiet. "Good morning, Ilara. The solar cycle is commencing. Would you like your dream trace archive?" Ilara stirred, her small hand reaching instinctively for the smooth, cool surface of her bedside terminal. "Morning, Aura," she mumbled, her eyes still heavy with the lingering tendrils of sleep. "Yes, please." It was a very bright one. Aura, her personalized AI companion, processed the request with seamless grace. Analyzing neural patterns, your dream state showed heightened activity around the Cradle Nebula signature. A familiar pattern, Ilara. Ilara smiled, a private, sleepy smile. The Cradle Nebula. It was always the Cradle Nebula, a swirling, vibrant kaleidoscope of gas and dust visible, even from Luminaire, a constant, breathtaking reminder of the universe's endless creation. And within that nebula, a phenomenon whispered about in hushed, reverent tones, stardust. She pushed herself up, her bare feet sinking into the plush, self-warming floor. The lavender light shifted to a soft, inviting gold, mimicking the sunrise of a world she'd never known but saw in historical projections. Her room, usually a testament to her eclectic collection of spacefaring curios, polished meteorites, ancient star charts projected onto her walls, a miniature, levitating model of the Starlight Seeker, her father's exploration vessel, felt particularly vibrant this morning. Today was special. Today was the day of the conjunction. She padded over to the window, pressing her nose against the cool plasteel. Luminaire glittered below her, a sprawling network of crystalline domes and bioluminescent pathways, all encased within the protective embrace of the asteroid's hollowed-out core. Beyond the city's upper domes, the colossal swirling bands of Cygnus Prime painted the sky in shades of azure, sapphire and emerald. And then further still, millions of light-years away, hung the Cradle Nebula, a cosmic masterpiece of magenta, violet and gold, like a perpetually blossoming flower. It was from the heart of that nebula that the stardust originated. Not just any dust, but a unique, ethereal particulate, imbued with an almost mythical quality. Scientists theorized it was the raw essence of stellar birth, carrying the faint echoes of nascent stars, a primordial energy that transcended mere matter. It was rare, fleeting, and breathtakingly beautiful. And today, thanks to a rare alignment of Cygnus Prime and its sister moon, Lyra, the stardust was projected to be more visible, more vibrant, than it had been in 100 cycles. Ilara's heart thrummed with anticipation. She always felt it, a faint, almost imperceptible hum beneath her skin, whenever the stardust was near. It was a sensation she tried to describe to her father, Kale, many times, but words felt too small, too solid, for something so vast and ephemeral. "Breakfast is ready, Ilara," Aura announced, her voice now emanating from the small hovering kitchen bot that glided into her room. "Kale is waiting for you in the observation lounge." "Thanks, Aura," Ilara chirped, pulling on her soft, adaptive jumpsuit. She brushed her fingers through her short, dark hair, catching a glimpse of her reflection, wide, curious eyes that mirrored the deep blues of Cygnus Prime, a dusting of freckles across her nose. She looked like her mother, her father often said, though her mother was only a collection of memories and holographic projections now, a brilliant astrophysicist who had vanished years ago on a deep space research mission, chasing the very mysteries Ilara now felt drawn to. She hurried through the curving corridors of their residential sector, the polished floors reflecting the soft glow of the wall-mounted light panels. Other residents, mostly scientists, engineers and their families, were beginning their day, their faces alight with a similar quiet excitement. The conjunction was a community event, a shared moment of cosmic awe. Kale was already in the observation lounge, a circular room with floor-to-ceiling plasteel windows that offered an unobstructed, breathtaking view of space. He stood by the main console, his tall, lean frame silhouetted against the swirling grandeur of Cygnus Prime. His dark hair, streaked with silver at the temples, was a little disheveled, a testament to his usual early morning deep dive into astronomical data. He was an astrocartographer, mapping the ever-shifting tapestry of the galaxy, and his passion for the stars was as boundless as the cosmos itself. "There's my little stargazer," he said, turning, a warm smile crinkling the corners of his eyes. He held out a nutrient bar and a steaming mug of her favorite spiced synth milk. "Ready for the big show?" Elara practically bounced on the balls of her feet. "Ready. Aura said my dream trace was all about the Cradle Nebula again. Do you think it means anything?" Kale chuckled, ruffling her hair. "It means you're a dreamer, Elara, just like your mother. She always said the universe speaks to us if we only learn how to listen." He gestured to the breakfast spread on the sleek, hovering table. "Eat up. We have a few hours until optimal viewing, but I want to run a few pre-conjunction diagnostics. The long-range sensors are picking up some intriguing energy fluctuations." As Elara ate, her eyes kept drifting back to the Cradle Nebula, a distant, shimmering promise. "Dad," she began, "what with Stardust really? Is it just dust, or something more? Kale paused, sipping his synth coffee. His gaze, usually focused and analytical, softened as he looked at the nebula. "That's the ultimate question, isn't it? Officially, it's classified as primordial cosmic particulate, tiny fragments of newly formed stars, or perhaps even the remnants of collapsed ones, imbued with unique energy signatures. It's incredibly rare for it to drift into our solar system, let alone become visible to the naked eye." He moved to the observation console, bringing up a complex holographic display of the Cradle Nebula, intricate energy readings pulsing across its surface. "Your mother, she had a theory. She believed stardust wasn't just inert matter, she thought it carried information, memories of the universe, perhaps even a nascent form of consciousness. She called it the universe's whisper." Elara leaned forward, fascinated. Her mother's theories always held a special magic for her, a legacy of wonder. "Consciousness? Like it can think?" Kale shook his head. "Not in the way we understand it. More like a resonance, a collective memory perhaps. Your mother theorized that when it passes through a sentient being's biofield, it can trigger dormant pathways, enhance certain perceptions. She believed that some individuals like you, Elara, are particularly sensitive to its influence." Elara's heart gave a little leap. It wasn't just a dream then. It wasn't just her imagination. The hum, the pull, the whispers she sometimes felt, they were real. "So, when I feel like it's calling me, or when I see those extra flashes of light in my dreams, it could be the stardust." Kale turned, his expression serious, yet tinged with a familiar wonder. "It could be, my love. Your mother had a similar sensitivity. She always said she could feel the pulse of the galaxy, even before the instruments confirmed it. She saw things that others couldn't. It's why she dedicated her life to understanding it. It's why she dedicated her life to understanding it." He paused, a flicker of old pain crossing his face, quickly masked. "And it's why she embarked on her final mission, searching for the source of the purest stardust, deep within the Cradle Nebula." Elara knew the story. Her mother, Dr. Lyra Vance, had piloted the Celestial Whisper on a solo journey, pushing the boundaries of known space, driven by an unshakable belief that the stardust held the key to understanding the very fabric of existence. She never returned. Her ship's signal was lost in the chaotic heart of the nebula, leaving behind a legacy of brilliant research and a heartbroken family. But Elara didn't feel sad today, only a profound sense of connection. Her mother's spirit felt alive in the stardust, in the hum she felt, in the boundless curiosity her father fostered. "Let's get those diagnostics running then," Elara declared, jumping off her seat. "Maybe we can see something Mom saw." Kale smiled, his eyes twinkling. "That's the spirit. Come, help me calibrate the stellar interference filters. The closer we get to the conjunction, the more noise we'll have from Cygnus Prime's magnetosphere." They spent the next few hours in companionable silence, Kale guiding Elara through the complex interface of the Luminaire Observatory's main console. She loved learning from him, her small fingers deftly navigating holographic projections, adjusting frequencies, and analyzing data streams. Her father never treated her like a child, always respecting her intelligence and nurturing her natural curiosity. He made the universe feel like a grand puzzle, waiting to be solved. As the conjunction approached, the energy in Luminaire became palpable. Families gathered in their observation decks, communal lounges and public parks, all designed with expansive views of space. Even the usual drone of work and transport systems seemed to quieten, replaced by a collective hush of anticipation. Optimal alignment in T-10 minutes, Aura announced from the main console, her voice now amplified through the lounge's speakers. A soft chime echoed through the city. All primary viewing domes are now active. Prepare for heightened visual spectrum clarity. Kale dimmed the lounge lights, plunging the room into near darkness, save for the soft glow of the console and the breathtaking panorama outside. Cygnus Prime seemed to swell, its vibrant bands closer, more detailed, as Lyra, its smaller silvery moon, began its graceful transit, slowly eclipsing a portion of the gas giant. The shadow of Lyra acts as a perfect filter, Kale explained, his voice low with reverence. It blocks out the direct glare, allowing us to perceive the fainter emissions from the Cradle Nebula. As Lyra's shadow deepened, the stars seemed to explode in brilliance. And then, slowly, subtly, the Cradle Nebula began to shift. Its vibrant hues intensified, swirling like paint in water. But it wasn't just the colors. Tiny, almost imperceptible pinpricks of light began to emerge from its depths, shimmering, dancing specks of pure luminescence. There it is, Kale breathed, adjusting a final filter on the console. The Stardust. Elara gasped. It was more beautiful than any projection, any dream. The tiny specks of light weren't just static points, they moved, they pulsed, they lived. They drifted out of the nebula in a slow, majestic river of light, catching the distant stellar winds, spiraling and swirling like a cosmic ballet. Each particle seemed to glow with an inner fire, casting iridescent trails against the black. It's like a million tiny fireflies, Elara whispered, her voice thick with awe. Her heart was pounding, the familiar hum beneath her skin growing stronger, a vibrant resonance that vibrated through her entire being. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, a sense of belonging so profound it brought tears to her eyes. More like the universe's tears, Kale murmured, his own face alight with wonder. The tears of creation. Through the advanced optics of the Luminaire Observatory, the Stardust seemed to drift closer, almost within reach. Elara pressed her hands against the cool plasteel, an overwhelming urge to touch it, to feel it, washing over her. And then, something extraordinary happened. As one particularly bright stream of stardust spiraled past a cluster of distant protostars, Elara didn't just see it. She felt it. A faint, almost musical tremor resonated through her, a chorus of whispers that wasn't sound, but pure understanding. Images flashed through her mind, nebulae collapsing into nascent suns, planets forming from swirling dust, the birth of oceans, the first stirrings of life on ancient worlds. It was a fleeting, overwhelming download of cosmic history, a symphony of creation playing out directly in her mind. She squeezed her eyes shut, overwhelmed, then opened them again, gazing with renewed intensity at the shimmering river of light. The others in the city, her father included, were marveling at its visual beauty. But Elara knew she was experiencing something more. She could feel the flow of energy, the faint, intricate patterns within the chaos, the hidden pathways of communication. She felt a distinct pull, a magnetic yearning, towards one specific brighter cluster of stardust, a cluster that seemed to pulse with a unique, deeper rhythm, unlike the others. It wasn't just dust. It was a message. A story. A call. Kale, observing her, noticed the subtle change in her posture, the way her eyes seemed to pierce beyond the visual spectrum. He knew that look. He'd seen it in Lyra too. "Elara?" he asked gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. "What do you see?" Elara turned to him, her eyes wide, glistening with unshed tears of wonder. It's beautiful, Dad, but it's more. It's singing, it's telling me things." She pointed a trembling finger at the specific brighter cluster. That one is different. It feels alive." Cale followed her gaze, his brow furrowing slightly. The instrument showed a slightly higher energy signature from that particular cluster, but nothing that explained the intensity of Ilara's reaction. His daughter possessed a gift, a sensitivity that both awed and concerned him. It was the same gift that had led Lyra so far, and ultimately, away from them. He embraced her, pulling her close, his eyes still fixed on the mesmerizing dance of Stardust. "It's a magnificent sight, isn't it, my love? The universe revealing its secrets one shimmer at a time." He didn't dismiss her feelings, he never did. He knew, deep down, that Ilara was seeing something he couldn't, feeling something profound. The Stardust continued its majestic procession across the cosmic stage, a silent symphony of light and energy. Ilara remained in her father's arms, her gaze locked on the glowing particles, particularly the brighter, singing cluster. The sense of connection deepened, becoming a quiet, insistent whisper in her heart. "Come find us. Come understand. Need Ken." As the transit of Lyra began to recede, and the direct glare of Cygnus Prime slowly returned, the Stardust began to fade, its brilliance softening, its colors diffusing back into the familiar magnificent swirl of the Cradle Nebula. The show was over. A soft sigh rippled through the city. People began to stir, exchanging hushed words of awe, their faces still reflecting the lingering wonder. Ilara felt a pang of longing as the last of the intense shimmer vanished. She wanted to follow it, to chase that feeling, that understanding. "Time for bed, little star," Cale said, gently guiding her away from the window. "A big day calls for a good night's rest." In her room, the lavender glow had returned, a comforting blanket. Ilara changed into her sleep suit, her mind still buzzing with the cosmic symphony she had witnessed. As Cale tucked her into her zero-G sleep pod, she looked up at him, her eyes still holding the distant glow of the Stardust. "Dad," she whispered, "do you think Mom found it, the source of the purest Stardust?" Cale sat on the edge of her pod, stroking her hair. "I believe she was very close, Ilara. Your mother was one of the bravest, most brilliant explorers I've ever known. She followed her heart and her science to the very edge of discovery." "And if she found it," Ilara continued, her voice barely audible, "do you think she learned its secrets, what it was trying to say?" Cale smiled sadly. "I hope so, my love. I truly hope so." He leaned down and kissed her forehead. "Rest now. Dream of the stars. They are always waiting for you." As the sleep pod's gentle hum began to lull her, Ilara closed her eyes. But sleep didn't come immediately. Her mind replayed the shimmering dance of the Stardust, the silent whispers, the powerful, undeniable pull towards that brighter cluster. She felt a profound sense of purpose blossoming within her, a quiet resolve. Her mother had chased the Stardust to the edge of the known universe. And Ilara, she realized, felt an undeniable call to follow. The universe had whispered, and she had listened. Now, she yearned to answer. The universe had whispered, and she had listened. Now, she yearned to answer. The first rays of dawn, filtered through the viewport of their orbital habitat, painted Ilara's room in hues of soft lavender and gold. She opened her eyes, and the world felt utterly transformed. The familiar hum of the life support, the gentle sway of the habitat, the distant twinkle of the stars outside, all of it seemed sharper, imbued with a new significance. The Stardust, though hidden by the rising solar glow, pulsed behind her eyelids, a silent, insistent beacon. She rose, her movements deliberate, no longer just a child navigating her morning routine, but a nascent explorer taking her first steps. Her father, Sol, was already in the small galley, the aroma of synth coffee and nutrient paste filling the air. He looked up, his kind eyes, so like her own, crinkling at the corners. "Morning, Star Seeker," he greeted, using his old nickname for her. "Dreaming of distant nebulae again?" Ilara managed a small smile, a genuine one, but it held a new depth. Something like that, Papa. She sat opposite him, her gaze lingering on the holographic projection of their star system, currently depicting the orbital paths of their local gas giants. Papa, she began, her voice carefully casual. Mama, she always spoke of the Stardust, didn't she? As more than just pretty lights. Sol's smile faltered, a shadow passing over his face, as it always did when Elara mentioned her mother. Your mother, he said, his voice softer, saw magic in everything, Elara. Especially the things science couldn't quite explain yet. He paused, stirring his coffee. The Stardust was her great obsession, yes. She believed it was a living map, a network of consciousness, something profound. And you? Elara pressed gently, watching him. What do you believe? He sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. I believe it's beautiful and dangerous, and that your mother was too brave for her own good sometimes. He met her gaze, a familiar worry dawning in his eyes. It took her, Elara. It pulled her further than anyone had ever gone, and she never came back. His tone was final, a barrier she knew well. He wanted to protect her from the same longing, the same loss. Elara nodded, accepting his answer for now, but her resolve only hardened. Her mother hadn't just chased a myth, she'd chased a truth, and Elara felt it in her bones. She finished her nutrient paste in silence, her mind already racing, sifting through memories of her mother's study, the dusty data slates, the forgotten corners of their habitat. Later that day, while Sol was engrossed in his work at the habitat's atmospheric processors, Elara slipped into her mother's study. It remained a sanctuary of quiet reverence, untouched since her mother's departure. The air here was different, tinged with the faint scent of ozone and forgotten research. The walls were lined with data screens now dark, and shelves overflowed with ancient physical tomes, their pages brittle with age. Elara ran her fingers over a polished Zena crystal, a relic from an early expedition. Her mother had said it pulsed with the memory of a distant sun. She remembered her mother's hands, agile and quick, moving across the console, her eyes alight with discovery. There had to be something more here, something her mother had left behind for her. She didn't just look for data logs, she looked for patterns. Her mother had loved riddles, hidden messages. Elara recalled a game they used to play, where her mother would hide a small, intricate puzzle box, and Elara would have to follow a series of cryptic clues to find it. Her gaze fell upon a seemingly random arrangement of star charts on a wall panel. One chart, depicting the local sector, was overlaid with a constellation of her mother's own design, a fanciful shape she'd called the Weaver. Elara activated the main console, its interface humming to life with a soft blue glow. She input her mother's old access codes Elara had known since she was little, a sequence of numbers and symbols that spelled out her mother's favorite poem. The system recognized the input, but instead of her mother's general research files, a hidden directory blinked into existence. Project Night Weaver. A jolt went through Elara. Night Weaver. The name of the constellation. She clicked on it, her heart thrumming against her ribs. The directory was vast, filled with files labeled with dates spanning years, right up to the week her mother had left. There were schematics, theoretical physics equations, xenolinguistic analyses, and most importantly, personal logs. She opened the most recent log. Her mother's holographic image flickered into view, her face tired but radiant, her eyes holding that familiar, distant gleam. Log entry 743.2. Her mother's voice began, warm and resonant. The Stardust's call grows stronger, Elara, not just a visual phenomenon, but a vibrational one, a symphony of light and consciousness. I've refined the quantum resonance sail, adapting the whispering archive technology for long-range navigation. It's not about speed, my darling, but about resonance. About listening to the universe and letting it guide you. Elara leaned closer, captivated. The whispering archive. She'd only ever heard it mentioned in passing. A theoretical concept for storing consciousness and information within a crystalline matrix, allowing for non-linear access. Her mother had adapted it for a G-Sale. The log continued, her mother's gaze seeming to pierce through time, looking directly at Elara. I know the risks, Sol will be worried, he'll try to dissuade you. But if you are watching this, my Starseeker, it means you felt the call too. The Stardust is not just a destination, it's a journey of self-discovery. It holds answers, Ilara, answers about our place in the cosmos, about life itself, and perhaps answers about me. And perhaps... A bittersweet smile touched her lips. I've repurposed the old scout ship, the Stardancer's Whisper, into what I'm calling the Night Weaver. She's not fast, but she's sensitive. She listens. Ilara's breath hitched. The Stardancer's Whisper. Their family's old scout ship, long decommissioned and stored in a hidden hangar on the far side of their asteroid base. Sol always said it was too old, too unreliable. But her mother had been working on it in secret. The log concluded with a final heartfelt message. Trust your instincts, Ilara. Follow the light. And remember, the universe is always speaking. You just have to learn how to listen. This journey, it's meant for you too, my brave girl. I've left you a breadcrumb trail. Follow the resonance. Find the heart of the Stardust. The hologram faded, leaving Ilara in stunned silence. A breadcrumb trail. Her mother hadn't just left her. She had planned for Ilara to follow. This wasn't a reckless abandonment, but a profound, almost sacred, invitation. Ilara spent the next few days in a whirlwind of secret activity. She devoured the Night Weaver schematics, learning about the quantum resonance sail, a revolutionary propulsion system that didn't consume fuel in the traditional sense, but instead harmonized with the universe's ambient energy fields, effectively surfing the cosmic currents. It was slow, but theoretically limitless in range. The ship was also equipped with advanced xenolinguistic analysis tools, designed not just to translate languages, but to interpret the subtle energy signatures of stellar phenomena. It was, in essence, a giant cosmic ear. She also studied the whispering archive technology her mother had integrated into the ship's navigation and communication systems. It allowed for near-instantaneous, if low bandwidth, communication by entangling quantum particles across vast distances, but only with other devices tuned to the same resonant frequency. Her mother had left her a receiver, disguised as a simple pendant Ilara had worn since she was a child. It vibrated now, gently, a constant silent reminder of her mother's presence. The true challenge, however, was accessing the Night Weaver itself. The old hangar was deep within the asteroid, secured by multiple layers of antiquated but formidable security. And then, there was Sol. He noticed her growing preoccupation, the way her eyes held a distant, searching look. One evening, as Ilara was meticulously organizing data slates, she felt her father's presence behind her. She turned, and he was there, holding an old, worn data slate, one she hadn't found. "You've been spending a lot of time in here lately," he said, his voice soft, but his eyes were sharp. "And your mother's pendant, it's been glowing." Ilara's heart pounded. She hadn't realized. The pendant, a small, intricate silver spiral, now pulsed with a faint inner light. I found some of Mama's old logs," Ilara confessed, her voice barely a whisper. "About the Stardust, about the Night Weaver." Sol looked at the data slate in his hand. "I know," he said, his voice heavy. "She left this for me, to give to you when the time was right." He handed it to her. "I suppose the time is right." Ilara took the slate, her fingers trembling. It was a single, long message from her mother, dated just days before her departure. Her mother's image appeared, looking directly at Ilara, her eyes filled with a profound love and a desperate plea. "My dearest Ilara," her mother began, her voice cracking slightly. "If you are watching this, it means you have felt the call, the Stardust. It is calling to you, just as it called to me. I know Sol will have tried to protect you, but I also know you have my spirit. The Night Weaver is ready. I've calibrated her quantum resonance sail to respond to a specific energy signature, one unique to our family. It's a key, Ilara, a living key, woven into our very being, understand." A tear tracked down Ilara's cheek. Her mother hadn't just left their ship, she had built it for Ilara, an extension of their shared spirit. Her mother continued, her voice growing stronger. "The Stardust is not a single point in space. It is a flowing river of cosmic consciousness, I believe it is a nexus, a meeting place of ancient intelligences, a library of the universe. I'm going to the brightest cluster, the one we always called the heart of the Stardust. I believe that's where the deepest secrets lie. I will leave behind a trail, a series of quantum resonance beacons. Her mother's gaze softened, a deep, loving sadness. I love you, my Starseeker, more than the stars themselves. Find me, or find the answers I couldn't. The message ended. Silence filled the study, thick with unspoken emotions. Sol stood, his face etched with a mixture of grief and resignation. He sank into a chair, rubbing his temples. She knew, he whispered, his voice hoarse. She knew you would follow. She spent years preparing not just for her journey, but for yours. He looked at Ilara, his eyes brimming. I tried to ignore it, Ilara. Tried to convince myself it was just a myth, just a child's dream. But I see it in your eyes, the same light, the same pull. He stood, walking over to her and placing a hand on her shoulder. It's in your blood, isn't it? The call of the unknown. Ilara nodded, tears streaming freely now. I have to go, Papa. I have to find her, or find out what she found. Sol sighed, a long, weary exhalation. I can't stop you, can I? He gave a watery chuckle. You're your mother's daughter, through and through, all right? He straightened, a new resolve hardening his features. Then we prepare you properly. No more sneaking around. You're going to need the best equipment, the best training, everything your mother would have wanted. And I'm going to help you. The next few weeks were a blur of intense activity. Sol, once so protective, became Ilara's most ardent supporter. He helped her reactivate the old hangar on the asteroid's far side, bypassing the ancient security systems he'd once maintained. Together, they refurbished the Night Weaver, a sleek, dark vessel that seemed to absorb the light around it. It was small, designed for a single pilot, a testament to her mother's solo ambition. Its hull was made of a newly discovered crystalline alloy, capable of shunting cosmic radiation and adapting to extreme environmental conditions. The cockpit was surprisingly sparse, dominated by a large holographic sphere at its center, the interface for the quantum resonance sail and the xenolinguistic array. Her mother had designed it to be intuitive, responding to thought patterns and subtle emotional cues. The Whispering Archive was integrated throughout the ship, a shimmering, organic-looking network that pulsed with soft light, hinting at the vast knowledge it contained. Sol, a master technician, upgraded the life support systems, installed advanced nutrient recyclers, and stocked the ship with enough provisions for a journey of indeterminate length. He taught Ilara advanced astrogation, emergency protocols, and how to perform field repairs on the Unite Weaver's unique systems. He even built her a small portable drone, named Glimmer, designed to scout ahead and assist with maintenance, a tiny, loyal companion with bright, inquisitive optical sensors. The day of departure arrived, shrouded in the pre-dawn gloom of the asteroid hangar. Sol stood by the Night Weaver's ramp, his face a mixture of pride and profound sadness. Are you sure about this, Starseeker? He asked, his voice thick. Ilara, dressed in a sleek, fitted flight suit, her mother's pendant glowing faintly at her throat, nodded. I have to be, Papa. It's more than just a search now, it's who I am. He pulled her into a tight embrace, holding her for a long moment, imprinting the feel of her against him. Your mother would be so proud, he whispered, his voice cracking. Be safe, Ilara, and listen, always listen. He pressed a small, smooth stone into her hand. It's a resonance crystal, tuned to your pendant. I'll be able to hear you, wherever you are, and you'll hear me. Don't ever forget that. Ilara clutched the crystal, tears welling in her eyes. I won't, Papa. She boarded the Night Weaver, the ramp retracting with a soft hiss. The cockpit enveloped her, a cozy, familiar space imbued with her mother's essence. She settled into the pilot's chair, her hand resting on the central holographic sphere. Glimmer, the drone, floated beside her, its single eye lens blinking expectantly. All systems green, Papa, she reported, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. Initiating hangar depressurization. Sol's voice crackled through the comms, a little shaky. "Good luck, my Starseeker. May the Stardust guide you." The heavy hangar doors groaned open, revealing the inky blackness of space, studded with a million distant stars. And there it was, faint but undeniable, the shimmering distant glow of the Stardust, calling to her. Ilara took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the controls. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, "Trust your instincts. Follow the light." Inna, Nindainel, Dirkcheat 10. She pressed a sequence of symbols on the holographic sphere, activating the quantum resonance sail. A low hum vibrated through the ship, growing steadily, not a mechanical roar, but a deep, resonant chord. The stars outside seemed to blur, not from speed, but from a shift in perception. The Weaver wasn't accelerating in the traditional sense, it was gattening. Then, a faint ethereal glow began to emanate from the ship's crystalline hull, mirroring the distant Stardust. It pulsed, a silent heartbeat, connecting Ilara, the ship, and the cosmos. The familiar stars of her home system began to recede, not shrinking, but becoming part of a larger, grander tapestry. The Night Weaver slipped from the hangar, a dark phantom against the stellar backdrop. Then it shimmered, and with an almost imperceptible ripple in the fabric of space, it was gone, swallowed by the vast, waiting unknown. Ilara felt a gentle tug, a subtle current pulling the ship forward. It was the first beacon, her mother's breadcrumb trail, resonating with the Night Weaver's unique frequency. It wasn't a visible light, but a feeling, a whisper in her mind, guiding her deeper into the cosmic ocean. The Stardust, now a vast swirling nebula ahead, beckoned, its vibrant colors painting the void with impossible hues. She was no longer just Ilara, the girl from the asteroid habitat. She was Ilara, the Night Weaver, sailing into the heart of the universe, chasing a dream, a mother, and a destiny written in starlight. The journey had truly begun. The Night Weaver slipped into the Stardust Nebula like a whisper into a dream. The transition was not violent, but profound. One moment, Ilara was navigating the crisp, infinite black. The next, she was engulfed in a luminous, swirling tapestry. The void outside had been an illusion, a mere curtain drawn before this cosmic masterpiece. The ship's unique frequency, which had been a subtle thrum against her consciousness, now resonated with the very fabric of the nebula. It wasn't just guiding her to see the Stardust, it was making her a part of it. The ship's hull, usually a sleek obsidian sheen, seemed to absorb and refract the nebula's light, shimmering with internal currents of violet, emerald, and molten gold. Ilara felt a peculiar expansion within her own mind, as if the ship's sensors were extending her perception, letting her taste the metallic tang of interstellar dust, hear the silent chorus of forming stars, and feel the faint, warm breath of nascent stellar winds. The Stardust was not a uniform cloud. It was an ecosystem of light and matter. Great rivers of incandescent gas flowed past the Night Weaver, their currents marked by shimmering wakes. Islands of denser dust, dark and mysterious, floated like ancient continents in a sea of fire. And everywhere, tiny pinpricks of light, like newborn fireflies, coalesced and brightened, protostars, still wrapped in their cocoons of gas and dust, destined to ignite into suns. Ilara had spent her life on an asteroid habitat, a sterile, efficient environment far from such raw cosmic beauty. Her world had been defined by the steel walls of her home, the precise calculations of orbital mechanics, the muted hum of life support. Now she was adrift in the wild, untamed heart of creation. A gasp escaped her lips, not of fear, but of overwhelming awe. The beauty was almost painful, a symphony for senses she didn't know she possessed. The Weaver continued its silent, weaving dance. Ilara didn't pilot it with controls, but with intent. The frequency was her interface, a direct link between her will and the ship's sophisticated intelligence. If she thought deeper, the ship subtly adjusted its energy field, allowing it to penetrate denser layers of the nebula. If she felt curious, the ship would present a holographic projection of the nearest unusual anomaly, a particularly bright stellar nursery, or a cluster of exotic matter that pulsed with a strange rhythmic energy. It was during one such moment of curiosity, that the Night Weaver presented her with a vision. Not on the main view screen, but directly into her mind, a soft, warm thought image. It was her mother. Younger, vibrant, her face illuminated by an unfamiliar, swirling light that mirrored the nebula around them. Her mother was smiling, a look of profound wonder on her face, reaching out as if to touch something invisible. The vision faded, leaving Ilara with a profound ache in her chest. "Mom," she whispered, her voice lost in the ship's silent hum. "You were here." The frequency pulsed, a comforting affirmation. The Night Weaver knew. It remembered. It was leading her not just to a location, but to a memory, a path her mother had forged. The nebula grew more complex the deeper they ventured. The currents of gas became turbulent, churning like cosmic oceans in a storm. The nascent stars grew brighter, their embryonic light pushing against the surrounding darkness, creating dazzling, ephemeral rainbows where their energies met the dust clouds. The Night Weaver navigated these turbulent zones with an almost organic grace, its energy field rippling and shifting, deflecting the harshest radiation and gravitational eddies. One particular region caught Ilara's attention. It was a vast, almost perfectly spherical void within the nebula, an absence of light and matter that seemed unnatural. Around its edges, the gas and dust swirled in a chaotic maelstrom, as if trying to fill the emptiness but being repelled by an invisible force. The Night Weaver's chin frequency grew more intense, a warning perhaps, or a strong pull. "What is that, Night Weaver?" Ilara thought, focusing her intent. A complex stream of data flooded her mind. A gravitational anomaly. Exotic matter, density high. Temporal distortions detected. Unstable. Nail, enter. Unstable? Ilara frowned. Should we avoid it? The frequency pulsed again, but this time, it was laced with something more. A faint echo of her mother's presence, like a scent carried on a cosmic breeze. "She was herring," the frequency seemed to say. She went in. "Win." A shiver ran down Ilara's spine. Her mother, the brilliant but sometimes reckless astrophysicist, would never have turned away from such a phenomenon. Not if it promised a new discovery, a deeper understanding of the universe. And Ilara, despite her trepidation, felt the same pull. The fear was there, a cold knot in her stomach, but it was overshadowed by an insatiable curiosity, a burning desire to follow in her mother's footsteps, to understand what she had sought. "Let's go in," Ilara decided, her voice firm. "Carefully, prepare for anything." The Night Weaver responded, with a subtle hum of readiness. Its outer shell shimmered, not just with nebular light, but with a faint, intricate lattice of energy, like an invisible shield taking form. The ship approached the edge of the void, the swirling gases rushing past like a furious river. As they crossed the boundary, the world outside the viewscreen vanished. It wasn't darkness they entered, but a profound nothingness. No stars, no dust, no gas. Just an infinite, velvety black, deeper and more absolute than anything Ilara had ever experienced. The Night Weaver's internal lights, usually a soft ambient glow, now seemed intensely bright, reflecting off the polished surfaces of the ship's interior. The silence was absolute, a heavy blanket that pressed in on her ears. Then, the temporal distortions began. Time itself seemed to stretch and contract around them. One moment, the ship's internal chronometer registered a second passing normally. The next, it would jump forward by minutes, then snap back a few seconds. Ilara felt it in her own body. A disorienting lurch in her gut, a brief fuzziness in her vision, as if her own internal clock was struggling to keep pace. "Status report, Night Weaver. Fluctuations, extreme. Integrity holding. Navigational data, unreliable." The ship's response was a calm, steady stream of information, a digital anchor in the temporal chaos. The void wasn't entirely empty, Ilara realized. Faint, ephemeral echoes of light would flicker into existence at the very edges of her perception, like ghosts of stars that had once shone here, or perhaps stars that would shine here in a distant future. They were fleeting, impossible to focus on, but they hinted at a reality beyond her current understanding. Suddenly, A pattern emerged from the chaos. Not a visual one, but a rhythmic pulse in the Night Weaver's frequency, now amplified and directed. It was a complex sequence, almost like a coded message, repeating over and over. This is it, Elara thought with a surge of adrenaline. A clue. Something Mom left behind. And, ow. She focused on the pulse, letting it fill her mind. The Night Weaver began to translate, not into words but into images and emotions. It was a log entry, fragmented and distorted by the temporal anomalies, but unmistakably her mother's. Entered the stilling eye, as I've dubbed it. Phenomenon unlike anything theoretical models predicted. Not a black hole, not a wormhole, something else. Time here is fluid. It's like watching the universe breathe in slow motion, then gasp for air. The implications are staggering, Elara. If you're ever able to hear this, it's a window, darling, a window into the very loom of causality. I believe this is where the true... The message cut off abruptly, dissolving into static. Elara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. The true night weaving, she whispered aloud. Her mother hadn't just been following a frequency. She had been seeking the source of it, the very mechanism that allowed the Night Weaver to exist, to manipulate the fabric of reality. As if in response to her thoughts, the absolute blackness ahead began to subtly change. A faint, almost imperceptible shimmer appeared, growing stronger with each passing moment. It was like looking through a pane of impossibly thin glass into another dimension. And on the other side, Elara saw herself. Not a reflection, but a slightly distorted image of her own ship, the Night Weaver, drifting in a landscape that was simultaneously familiar and alien. The nebula outside was the same, but the colors were shifted, deeper, more vibrant, as if seen through an artist's dream. And within the other Night Weaver, a figure stood at the console, backlit by the impossible hues. It was her mother. Older, perhaps, or simply more ethereal, her form indistinct, yet undeniably her. Elara gasped, reaching out a hand instinctively. Mom! The image flickered, distorted by the temporal flux. Her mother turned, a faint smile on her face, but her eyes were filled with a profound sadness, a longing that mirrored Elara's own. She raised a hand, not in greeting, but in a gesture of warning, pointing past Elara, deeper into the void. Then, the vision shattered, replaced by a sudden, jarring lurch. The Night Weaver was flung sideways, its internal stabilizers groaning under the strain. Alarms blared, a sharp, insistent ringing that cut through the silence. Collision imminent. Exotic matter wave detected. Yee, the ship's frequency screamed into Elara's mind, laced with an urgency she hadn't felt before. Elara braced herself, her heart pounding. Through the main view screen, the absolute blackness was being torn apart. A ripple, like a stone dropped into an infinite pond, was spreading across the void, growing rapidly. It wasn't a physical object, but a wave of pure energy, a distortion in the fabric of space-time itself, coalescing into something vast and menacing. It was immense, an undulating wall of sheer reality-bending force, crackling with impossible colors that defy definition. Within its depths, Elara could perceive brief, terrifying glimpses of other universes, other timelines, swirling into and out of existence. This wasn't a natural phenomenon, it felt like a deliberate rupture, a wound in the cosmic tapestry. Evasive maneuvers, Elara commanded, pouring all her intent into the Night Weaver. Full power to deflector shields, brace for impact. The ship responded instantly, its energy field flaring to maximum intensity, creating a visible, shimmering aura around its hull. It twisted and turned, attempting to outrun the wave, but it was too fast, too all-encompassing. The void offered no escape, no cover. The wave hit them like a cosmic tsunami. The Night Weaver shuddered violently, a tormented groan echoing through its structure. Elara was thrown against her safety restraints, her vision blurring as the world around her became a kaleidoscope of impossible light and shadow. The ship's unique frequency, usually so precise and clear, was now a cacophony of screeching static and fragmented signals, like 1,000 broken radio stations playing at once. She felt herself being stretched, pulled, distorted, not just physically, but temporally. Memories flashed through her mind in rapid succession. Her mother's laugh, the sterile gleam of the asteroid habitat, the first time she saw the Janite Weaver, a forgotten lullaby. They were all happening at once, interwoven with glimpses of futures that might never be, and pasts that were now altered. Hold. Together. Elara gasped, fighting through the disorientation. She forced herself to focus, to channel her will through the frequency, to impose order on the chaos. The Enite Weaver was an extension of her, and she would not let it break. A faint familiar hum began to cut through the static, a tiny thread of stability in the unraveling of reality. It was the unique frequency, struggling to reassert itself, to reweave the ship's connection to Elara, and to the path her mother had laid out. The wave passed, leaving behind a wake of lingering distortions, and an unsettling silence. The Nightweaver was battered but intact. Alarms still blared, but they were now diagnostic, not critical. Elara slumped back into her seat, panting, her entire body aching. Integrity at 72%. Energy reserves depleted. Temporal flux residual. Navigational systems offline. In J9. Elara ignored the warnings for a moment, focusing on the main view screen. The void was still there, but it was subtly changed. The impossible colors of the wave had left behind faint iridescent traces, like oil on water. And in the distance, slowly coalescing from the shimmering aftermath, was something new. It was a structure. Vast, ancient, and utterly alien. It wasn't made of metal or rock, but of intricately woven light and shadow, shifting and reforming, as if it were a living entity. It pulsed with the same complex rhythm her mother's message had contained, but amplified 1,000-fold. And emanating from its core was a powerful, coherent beam of energy, cutting through the stilling eye and piercing the nebula beyond. This was no natural phenomenon. This was deliberate. This was powerful. Elara's breath caught in her throat. This was what her mother had found. This was the loom of causality, the source of the true night weaving. And it was radiating a signal, a familiar one, that was now pulling the crippled night weaver inexorably towards it. The frequency within her mind, once a gentle guide, was now a roaring current, a compelling force. It was calling her, not just to a destination, but to a revelation. She was no longer just chasing her mother. She was being drawn into something far grander, a cosmic secret that resonated with the very essence of her being. The journey had truly just begun. The frequency within her mind, once a gentle guide, was now a roaring current, a compelling force. It was calling her, not just to a destination, but to a revelation. She was no longer just chasing her mother. She was being drawn into something far grander, a cosmic secret that resonated with the very essence of her being. The journey had truly just begun. Elara gripped the console of the Night Weaver, its ancient frame groaning under the invisible stress of the pull. Outside, the object grew, resolving from a shimmering nebula into something impossibly vast and intricate. It wasn't a star, nor a planet, nor any known construct. It was a swirling crystalline tapestry, woven from what looked like starlight and shadow, stretching across her view like a cosmic loom. Ribbons of pure light, like aurora borealis, pulsed around its edges, each one a silent hum that vibrated through the ship's hull and directly into Elara's bones. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice rough with awe. The object was ancient, older than the stars themselves, yet it pulsed with a vibrant, living energy. Filaments of stardust spiraled into its core, only to emerge transformed, shimmering with new colors and patterns. It was a cathedral of creation, a nexus where the universe itself seemed to be dreaming. The signal intensified, no longer a mere frequency, but a symphony of thought, a language without words that spoke directly to her soul. It told of beginnings and endings, of forgotten galaxies and nascent nebulae, of the silent dances between gravity and light. And within this cosmic choir, she heard a single familiar note, her mother's song. Lyra. The Night Weaver, once crippled and struggling, seemed to find a strange new purpose. Its failing engines flared with a borrowed energy, not fighting the pull, but aligning with it, guiding the ship with a newfound grace towards the heart of the celestial tapestry. It was as if the ship, too, recognized its true home, its ultimate destiny. As they drew closer, a shimmering aperture, like a tear in the fabric of space, opened in the center of the colossal structure. It wasn't a destructive void, but an inviting gateway, radiating a warmth that soothed Ilara's racing heart. She didn't hesitate. This was where she was meant to go. This was where her mother was. The innate Weavem slipped through the gateway as easily as a dream passing into memory. Inside, the universe unfolded in ways Ilara had never imagined. There were no stars here, no planets, no void. Instead, she was surrounded by an infinite expanse of pure light and color, constantly shifting, weaving, unfolding. It was like being inside a kaleidoscope made of galaxies, or perhaps inside the very mind of the cosmos. And there, at the very heart of this unimaginable space, suspended amidst the swirling light, was her mother. Lyra wasn't trapped or lost or even waiting. She was part of it. Her form, translucent and radiant, was woven into the light itself, her hands, or what appeared to be hands, formed of pure energy, gently guiding streams of starlight, her eyes closed in serene concentration. She was not merely observing the night weaving, she was performing it. Mother! Ilara breathed, the sound swallowed by the silent symphony around them. Lyra's eyes fluttered open, not startled, but as if waking from a deep, beautiful dream. A gentle smile touched her lips, a smile that held millennia of wisdom and infinite love. Ilara, she whispered, her voice resonating not through the ship's comms, but directly into Ilara's mind, clear as a bell. You found me. Tears welled in Ilara's eyes. I don't understand. What is this place? What are you doing? Lyra's form shimmered, and she drifted closer, like a wisp of dawn mist. This, my dear Ilara, is the loom of dreams, the true source of all night weaving. She gestured around them, her ethereal hand sweeping across the cosmic tapestry. Every star you've ever seen, every nebula, every whisper of gravity or flash of light, it all begins here. It is the birthplace of reality, woven from the collective consciousness of all sentient life, guided by the weavers. Ilara stared, overwhelmed. Weavers? Not just you? No, Lyra affirmed. There have always been weavers, my mother and her mother before her, an unbroken line chosen to tend the loom. We are the guardians of the cosmic dream, ensuring the patterns of existence remain vibrant and true. We mend the frayed edges of collapsing galaxies, inspire the birth of new stars, and even whisper dreams into the minds of nascent civilizations, guiding them towards wonder and discovery. But why did you leave? Why did you disappear? Ilara's voice cracked, the old pain resurfacing even amidst this incredible revelation. Lyra's gaze softened, filled with a poignant sorrow. The loom, it is not always stable. Great shifts in the cosmic currents, surges of collective despair, or surges of overwhelming joy, can cause ripples. Sometimes the fabric begins to fray, threatening to unravel entire sectors of reality. A great tear began to form, a wound in the very tapestry of time and space. I had to come, Ilara, to contain it, to mend it. She floated closer still, her hand, now solid enough to feel warm. It required all of my focus, all of my energy. To communicate with you, to guide you, would have meant diverting precious power from the mending. I knew you would follow. I knew you would find me. Ilara felt a rush of emotions. Relief, understanding, a fresh wave of wonder, and a nascent sense of something else, a deep, resonant calling within her own spirit. The signal, the frequency in my mind, was that you? Lyra smiled. In part, it was the loom reaching out, recognizing a kindred spirit. But it was also the spark within you, Ilara, the same spark that ignited within me, and within all the weavers before us. You have the gift, my daughter, you always have. As Lyra spoke, the patterns of light around them seemed to respond, swirling gently around Ilara, tracing invisible lines on her skin. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, a sense of belonging she had never known. The frequency in her mind, once a roaring current, was now a harmonious chord, playing in perfect unison with the loo's silent song. The loom needs a new weaver, Elara, Lyra said, her voice growing softer, yet imbued with an undeniable power. The mending is almost complete, but my time, my energy is fading. To maintain the balance, to dream the universe forward, a new hand must take the thread. Elara looked at her mother, truly seeing her for the first time not just as a lost parent, but as a cosmic custodian. Lyra's form was becoming more translucent, more integrated with the light around them. She was not dying, but transforming, becoming one with the very essence of the loom. You mean, me? Elara asked, her voice trembling with the enormity of the proposition. Lyra nodded, her smile radiant. You have always had a keen eye for patterns, Elara. You've always sought the hidden connections, the quiet beauty. You've always felt the hum of the universe within your heart. Your journey here, your determination, your unwavering spirit, these are the qualities of a true weaver. Elara looked around at the endless expanse of swirling light, the birth and death of cosmic dreams playing out before her eyes. It was terrifying, wondrous, and utterly compelling. She thought of her years spent chasing her mother's ghost, feeling adrift in the vastness of space. Now, she understood that she had never been adrift, she had been preparing. What do I do? She asked, her voice stronger now, a sense of purpose firming in her heart. Lyra extended her hand, and from the swirling light, a single thread of pure starlight, iridescent and impossibly fine, coalesced between her fingers. It pulsed with a gentle warmth. You listen, you feel, you dream, you become one with the loom, Elara. You learn its song, its patterns, its needs. You mend what is broken, you inspire what is new. You weave the future. Elara reached out, her fingers brushing against the thread. It was not physical, not truly, but a conduit of pure information, pure intent. As her fingers closed around it, a jolt of energy surged through her, not painful, but invigorating, awakening dormant senses, expanding her consciousness beyond the confines of her own mind. She felt the distant flutter of a nascent star, the slow, ponderous dance of a dying galaxy, the vibrant hum of a trillion dreaming minds across the cosmos. The Night Weaver, her ship, glowed softly behind her, its systems now fully restored, humming with a quiet power. It had served its purpose, bringing her to this threshold. But Elara knew, with absolute certainty, that she would no longer need its physical shell in the same way. Her journey had taken her beyond mere navigation. It's overwhelming, Elara admitted, though a deep, quiet joy was beginning to bloom within her. It is, Lyra agreed, her form now almost entirely merged with the light. Her voice seemed to emanate from the loom itself. But you are strong, my daughter, and you are not alone. The loom remembers, it will guide you. As Lyra's final words echoed through her mind, her form dissolved completely into the swirling light, becoming one with the cosmic tapestry. Elara felt a pang of sorrow, a final goodbye, but it was overshadowed by a profound sense of peace and understanding. Her mother wasn't gone, she was everywhere. She was the light, the dream, the very fabric of existence. Elara closed her eyes, letting the loom's symphony wash over her. She felt the starlight thread in her hand, not as a physical object, but as an extension of her own will, her own awareness. She felt the gentle pull of cosmic currents, the intricate dance of creation and destruction. She was no longer just Elara, the lonely pilot searching for her mother. She was Elara, the weaver, connected to everything, boundless and eternal. She opened her eyes. The Night Weaver was still there, a silent testament to her journey, but Elara was no longer confined by its walls. Her own form began to shimmer, responding to the loom's call. She felt the light integrate with her, becoming part of her, just as her mother had. She lifted her hands, and instinctively, she knew what to do. She reached out, not grasping but guiding. A stray thread of light, a nascent thought from a distant, dreaming world, pulsed erratically. With a gentle focus of her will, a whisper of intent, Elara guided it, weaving it into the larger pattern, strengthening its luminescence, shaping its trajectory towards a new star, a new story. The joy that flooded her was immense, pure, and boundless. This was true night weaving. This was the dreaming of the universe, the crafting of destiny, the gentle guidance of all that was, all that would be. The loom of dreams pulsed around her, a constant, living entity. Elara, the new weaver, felt its ancient power, its profound wisdom, and its endless potential. She was no longer searching, she was creating. She was no longer lost, she was home. And as she began her work, her own dreams merging with the cosmic tapestry, she knew that every whispered wish, every unspoken hope across the vastness of space, would find its way to her, and she, with gentle hands and a boundless heart, would weave them into the endless, breathtaking story of the stars. The universe was a dream, and Elara, the night weaver, was its loving guardian, ensuring that the dreams would always be beautiful, always be bright. And so, under the watchful gaze of the newly woven stars, Elara began her endless, wondrous work, dreaming the cosmos into being, one starlit thread at a time. And somewhere, in the gentle hum of the universe, she could still hear her mother's song, guiding her, loving her, forever a part of the grand, beautiful night weaving.